Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you joining me today. My name's James Whitcomb. I'm the candidate coach. And today we are going to be running our Job Seeker Masterclass workshop. We run this workshop at the end of every month. It's our 8th workshop this month, and hopefully you've attended some of them. But our masterclass is kind of where we bring everything together. So today we'll be touching on a lot of the important topics. So we'll talk about the importance of mindset and attitude when you're looking for work. We'll talk about the basics for creating a great resume and cover letter, how to prepare well for interview. We'll talk about video interviewing, and how you can make a difference by doing some small things really well throughout the recruitment process. So thanks for joining me online today, whether you're watching on one of our partner sites, our Facebook or our LinkedIn channel, our YouTube channel. We're broadcasting to pretty much everywhere we can. So thank you for joining in with me today. It is Wednesday, the 27th of October, and I am coming to you live. This is not a pre-recorded session. It is a live workshop, and we really hope that we have the opportunity to answer some of your questions today. So if you are watching, feel free to type in questions on any recruitment topic as we're going through our workshop today, and I will make sure that I answer all of the questions, even if your questions are about recruitment but not necessarily related to what we are talking about today. Alrighty, so without any further ado, let's get stuck straight into it. Just a little bit of housekeeping, which is really important before we do kick things off. If I do drop off the line for any reason today as the host and the broadcaster, please just stay on the line and wait until I rejoin. It's happened before where I've been kicked off, internet's fallen out, something like that's happened, and I've always been able to log back on. So if I do disappear, please wait for me to rejoin. Feel free to ask lots of questions. As I mentioned, use the comments box. That's what it's there for. It's live and interactive. I can see the feed and I can answer your questions as they're coming in. But also take lots of notes. It's really important when you're learning and when you're hearing something, when you hear it for the first time, that's often the way that you remember it in a really powerful way. But when you come back and you hear the same lesson 2 or 3 times over, the way you hear it's a little bit different. So remember how you heard it in the moment. And the best way to do that is by taking notes. But you can also watch a replay of today's workshop. So it will be uploaded to our live YouTube channel, and it will be ready for you to watch as a replay pretty much instantly at the end of today's workshop. Alrighty, so today, what are we going to cover? Well, today we're going to go through lots of things in about an hour to an hour and a half. So it's not a deep dive today. We're kind of surface skimming all the big topics. So first of all, what you actually need to know before you begin your job search. The importance of mindset and attitude during the recruitment process. How an effective elevator pitch can make all of the difference. How to get started on creating a great resume, and likewise, why cover letters are still important and how you can nail it. We're also going to show you how you can effectively call up a recruiter about a job that you've seen that you are interested in. We'll do some interview preparation. We'll talk about how to communicate effectively during the recruitment process and how to negotiate a salary offer if you've been offered a salary and you think, I'd like a little bit more. As I've mentioned, plenty of opportunity for questions and answers. And today, if I do look like I'm looking over here a little bit, that's because that's where my broadcasting screen is. Alrighty, so a little bit about me, your presenter, James, just so you know where I'm coming from as your facilitator today. Well, I'm a director at Smart Recruitment, and I've been working in recruitment since 2005. So pretty much, actually, November is my 16th anniversary in recruitment. I absolutely love working in recruitment. It is a very rewarding role. It is a great role where we have a lot of responsibility to assist companies and assist individuals and bring them together. Over that time, though, to give you a bit of an understanding in terms of my activity, I've conducted over 3,000 interviews. Could easily be twice as many as that, but that's probably my best conservative estimate. 3,000 interviews, 600 group assessments, and placed well over 1,000 people into work. We launched the Candidate Coach, the platform that we're meeting on today, in December 2019. So I'm an active recruiter. I'm working on vacancies at the moment, and it is great to be with you today. Alrighty, let's get stuck into the lesson. So what I like to do is always to start off with what I call what you need to know before you begin. Now, for most of you watching, you've probably already begun your job hunt. I understand that. You've already begun your job hunt, so you can't really go back to the start of it. But that doesn't mean we can't take a breath and reflect and maybe restart our job search. So, how do we do that, and what do we actually need to know? Well, what we need to know before we begin our job hunt is that planning is really important. What normally happens for most job seekers is they decide, or it gets to a point in time where they think it's now time for me to go and look for work. So they jump onto their computer, they search through their folders and find that old resume that they used for their last job. They add their most recent job and a couple of dot points, think that's done, jump onto Seek or Indeed and start scrolling through the vacancies, and you think, oh, that job looks pretty good. I'll apply for that one. Scroll down the page a bit more. Hey, that job, yeah, I'll apply for that one too. An hour later, you've applied for 10 jobs. 2 days later, you've applied for 30 jobs. And those first couple of jobs that you've applied for, you probably weren't really interested in them. So you've gone out and you've wasted quite a bit of time applying for jobs you're not interested in. You haven't focused on getting your resume right beforehand. So we need to approach our job search in a more strategic way. And we can do so certainly by planning. So it's a great opportunity to actually think, what is the type of work that you want to be doing? This is a rare opportunity for you to actually consider this. What type of work do you really want to do? Where are your skills and experience going to be most valued? So think about it from a hiring point of view. Who would look at your resume and think they're the skills, that's the experience, or that's the education that I want? Particularly if you're needing to find work quickly, that's your best avenue to finding a job. So stop applying for roles you're not suited for, you're not qualified for, or you're not 100% interested in. That's probably the big one. The job boards make it very easy now for you to apply for one job a minute. You can apply for 60 jobs in 60 minutes if you like, but you're wasting your time if you're doing that because you're not necessarily skilled, qualified, or perhaps even interested in that many jobs. So let's plan. Number 2, let's research the market thoroughly because that's going to allow you to be a more targeted job seeker. So what do I actually mean by that? Research your market thoroughly. Well, let me ask you a question. How many jobs are currently advertised in your industry that you're interested in? How many jobs are being advertised today in your industry that you're interested in? If, for example, you're looking for a customer service role and you're living in a major city, there could be hundreds of potential jobs that you're interested in. Whereas if you've got a very technical skill, maybe, for example, you're a chemical engineer, there's going to be far less jobs. There might only be 1 or 2 jobs advertised every month that you're interested in. So you really need to understand thoroughly what jobs are available to you before you begin your job hunt. Because if there are only 1 or 2 opportunities that present themselves every month, you need to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward with every single application. So research and understand how many vacancies are in your industry. Which recruiters advertise your jobs? So start to notice which recruitment agencies and individuals in particular. Maybe there's one particular recruiter who advertises a lot of jobs that you're interested in. Instead of applying for all 7 or 8 of their jobs individually, it's much better to give them a call and speak to them and say, hey, you've got a number of jobs that I'm interested in. I'd love to have a chat with you about where you think I should apply. Which 2 jobs are you going to apply for every day? So this is my rule at the Candidate Coach. My rule at the Candidate Coach is you should really only be applying for 2 jobs every day. Now, the reason I say that is, as you will learn today, I want you to be putting in time and effort into each application. I want you to be researching the job. I want you to be researching the company. I want you to be tailoring your cover letter. I want you to be tailoring your resume for each and every job. Now, if you're going to do that really well, I think that's going to take you 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours at least. So I want you to stop applying for 10 jobs a day and focus all the same attention into 1 or 2 applications. Now, 2 applications a day is still 14 applications a week. It's still 60 to 62 applications a month. But what I'd like to encourage you to do is focus on the jobs that you really want and put your time and your effort into those applications. You will get a far better outcome than throwing your resume out to lots of different jobs. So stop rushing out and applying for as many jobs as possible and start approaching it more thoughtfully. And finally, the way you handle rejection may actually help you land a job. Now, this seems like a funny thing for me to say, but you are going to get rejected a lot. And it's not a nice thing to hear, but when you are looking for work, even in a time where there is low unemployment, you are going to get rejected regularly. Now, how you handle that rejection will do 2 things. First of all, it will impact your own mental health, and we'll show a video later on about looking after your mental health when you're looking for work. But it will also have an impact on the person that you're speaking to, particularly if you're dealing with a recruitment agency. If you've been unsuccessful in landing a job with them and you argue and debate the fact that you should have got the job, then when the next opportunity comes up with them, they're going to be likely to think, no, we're not going to use this person. So before you begin your job search, we need to know that planning will save us time, it will save us effort, and it will save our sanity. We need to research our market thoroughly to allow us to be a smarter and more targeted job seeker. And we need to understand that the way we handle rejection can actually help us to land that job. Okay, how are you feeling today? I would love for you, to type your answer to this question in the comments box. Wherever you're watching, type into the comments box for me. If you could pick from this list of emojis, which emoji best shows how you are feeling today? Are you in the top row? Have you got a nice smiley face, feeling pretty good? Or are you down the bottom row? Are you feeling a little bit grumpy? Are you feeling nervous? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling happy to be here? We've had a couple of people already put happy faces into the chat. So you're feeling pretty good. That's great. Why am I asking you this question? Well, let's think of it from this point of view. How do you present yourself as a job seeker? Same list of emojis. How would you say that your resume, your cover letter, your demeanor, your attitude, the way you present yourself, how do you actually present yourself as a job seeker? So again, are you smiling? Are you confident? Are you happy? Are you down the bottom left-hand corner? Are you, I'm really anxious. I'm really nervous. I'm really quite frazzled by the whole process. Because it's really important for us to consider this. How do we present ourselves when we're having a phone interview, a face-to-face interview? Our resume, how does our resume present ourselves? Is it confident? Is our cover letter confident, or is it a little bit bland and boring? It's very plain. It's a bit negative, perhaps, as well. Maybe I need to be honest and say I have got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I've been looking for work for so long and I feel worn down. And if that's you, I completely understand it. But if you present yourself as somebody who's a bit worn down and a bit beaten down, and you're really, negative with the whole recruitment process, then that's how you're going to be remembered. So we need to have what I like to call a job-winning attitude and mindset. Now, I'm not telling you need to have a great mindset for the rest of your life. I'm not even telling you need to have a great mindset and attitude for the whole day. But anytime you're doing anything to do with looking for work, whether it's going through Seek, writing a resume or cover letter, having a phone interview, a Zoom interview, an in-person interview, we need to adopt a job-winning attitude and mindset. Why do we need to do this? Well, I want to share a quote with you from Ryan Biggs, who's the head of employment branding and recruitment at AFCA, which is the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. And Ryan says, I will always go for someone with a fantastic attitude that may need a little bit of development over someone who has all of the skill, but a bad attitude. So imagine you've got the best skill out of all the candidates and you've got the best qualifications out of all the candidates. But if you have a bad attitude, that's going to come down. Whereas maybe you've got some good qualifications and a little bit of good experience, but a great attitude can get you up to here. And I have seen this countless times in recruitment. I have seen so many times. It's not the best qualified candidate that gets the job, it's the best prepared and presented candidate throughout the recruitment process. Particularly if you're getting to the interview stage, it's very competitive. If you've got to the interview stage, we're kind of not looking at your skills or experience anymore. We're looking at your attitude. We're looking at the way that you present. So it is really important for you to have a job winning attitude and mindset when looking for work. Put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter. So back to our original list. If you were doing the hiring, who would you choose from this list? Who would you rather employ? Have a think about it before we move on. Okay. So, how to actually show this positive attitude? So, it's easy for me to say this, go and have a positive attitude, but how to actually show it during the recruitment process? What we actually do is, first of all, you can choose to be positive. As I said, we don't need to be positive all the time, but before any interaction to do with finding a job, we need to show a positive job winning attitude and mindset. Before we apply, before a phone interview, before a face to face interview, put on your positive face. Consider how you want to be remembered. So when you actually leave the room or when you actually hang up the phone, most of the time, people quickly forget what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. So if you are happy and you are smiling and you are building rapport and you are a pleasant person to talk to, that's going to be remembered more so than actually the words that you said. Likewise, if you're a bit negative and grumpy and frustrated, that's going to be remembered. So choose, how do you actually want to be remembered once you've left the room? Thirdly, follow up with the recruiter. Follow up with an email after a phone or a face-to-face interview just to say thank you and ask about next steps. It shows good manners, it shows you're polite, but it also shows that you are positive and you are keen. So avoid being negative, avoid whinging, complaining, arguing, or being unresponsive. If you're doing any of those things, you are showing a bad attitude. And they are personality traits that nobody is looking for in a job seeker. So by adjusting your attitude and adjusting your mindset, you can have a significant uplift in your chances of getting a job. Alrighty, grab a pen and paper out. Grab out a pen and paper. I'm going to give you a moment to do so, or grab out your phone so you can type some notes in, open up another screen on your window. Because I want you to write these things down. I want you to write down name, overview of your work history, top 3 skills, and the type of work you're looking for. I don't want you to answer those, but just write down what you're seeing on the screen right now. Write those things down. So, why am I asking you to write these things down? Well, we're going to create an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is a brief but persuasive statement. An elevator pitch is designed to be between sort of 30 and 90 seconds. It's commonly used in sales, but it's also very, very handy when you are looking for work. Why do we actually want an elevator pitch? Because the most common interview question in the world is, tell me a little bit about yourself. I ask this at the start of every face-to-face interview. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I ask this at the start of every phone interview. Just to start things off, tell me a bit about yourself. Now, it sounds like a really friendly rapport-building question, and it is. But don't drop your guard on this question. This is the first opportunity that you have to put a foot forward and to create a great impression. So if you can give me a really succinct answer and introduce yourself really well with a great elevator pitch, I'm going to be really impressed. So an elevator pitch, as we've got on the screen there, first of all, it's our name. That's pretty straightforward. Secondly, it's an overview of our work history. When I say overview, I mean 2 or 3 sentences. That is it. So I've been working, let's say you've been working in sales. I've been working in sales for the last 10 years, focusing primarily on software sales to corporate businesses. Now, your top 3 skills. I want you to have at least 2 skills that are hard skills, that are technical skills. Because what tends to happen here is people say, my top skills include good communication, teamwork, and hard working. They're all a bit soft and fluffy, and they're not quantifiable. So 2 of your skills should be technical or hard skills that are very relevant to the job. So if you're applying for different types of jobs, you want your skills here to change because you can only list 3. You want to list 3 that are really relevant to the job. And then finally, what type of work are you looking for? Okay, I'm going to show you one that I prepared earlier. Now, I don't want you to be intimidated by the one that I've prepared earlier because I've been working in recruitment for 15 years. I've seen lots of elevator pitches and I run elevator pitch workshops. So mine should be good. So this would be my elevator pitch if I was looking for work. My name is James Whitcomb. For 15 years, I've worked in recruitment, beginning as a recruitment consultant before progressing onto management and then onto being a director, my current position. My top skills would include interviewing candidates in a way that uncovers their true motivation, public speaking and presenting, as well as coaching and training candidates to ensure they are giving themselves the best chance of landing a job. I'm currently looking for a new role where I can focus more of my time on training, coaching, and assisting candidates as opposed to being a recruiter. So that's my elevator pitch there. Now, if I gave that to you and you were interviewing me and you said, tell me a bit about yourself, if that was my answer, you would feel, wow, I know quite a bit about James straight away. That's a really good answer. I've given a strong, confident first answer. And as we know, first impressions are so important when we're at job interview. So your elevator pitch, I want you to go away and I want you to create it. I've given you the 4 things you need to answer. I want you to rewrite it until it's perfect. So rewrite it several times until you get it to the point where it's perfect. I then recommend that you print it out and save it. So print it out, stick a copy on the fridge, have a copy on the kitchen bench, have a copy in your handbag, put a copy in your phone. Because if a recruiter calls you and says, hey, we've got your job application, have you got 5 minutes? And you say yes, and they say, just tell me a bit about yourself, you're going to think, my elevator pitch. I can't remember it. My brain's frozen. But if you just have to look down at your phone or look at the fridge, you can see the words there and it will come back to you. So finally, we want to use our elevator pitch. And if you can do all of this, you're getting your interview off to a great start. Alrighty, how long do you think a recruiter spends reading your resume? I've shown the next slide too quickly. I was going to ask you to answer this in the comments box. It is 7 seconds. 7 seconds. Recruiters spend 7 seconds reading your resume. At the 7-second mark, they decide whether they want to keep reading it or they decide, no, I can't see anything on this resume here that is interesting to me. I am going to move on to the next resume. So we don't have very long here. We don't have very long to create a great impression. Okay, so let's have a look in a bit more detail. So in this study in 2018, I want you to read the second dot point. Resumes that succeeded in capturing the recruiter's attention featured simple layouts with clear section and heading titles. Resumes organized by E or F pattern, reading tendencies also did well. So imagine a big capital E or a big capital F on the page, especially when they utilize bold titles and bulleted accomplishments. So we need it simple. We need sections, we need headings, we need bullets, and we need white space. They're the things we need to do. What do we not need to do? In dot point 3, resumes did not fare well when hindered by cluttered layouts and long sections. A lack of white space on the page. So we actually need a white space on the page. We don't like multiple columns and we don't like long sentences. A lack of job headers or sections turned off recruiters, as did text that didn't flow down the page. So that's a bit of a snapshot there about what we can conclude we do and don't need to do. So how can we put this into action? All right. Today, I am not going to go through a whole resume writing session with you. That is a workshop in itself. I'm actually running that workshop next week. You can come and join that workshop next week from wherever you are watching today. And we will go through a 45-minute workshop on how to create what we call a standout resume. What I'm going to show you today is some of the basics. So first of all, your resume is a factual account of your employment, study history, but it also needs to highlight your skills and ability. It needs to sell you. Sell, 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 sell. Your resume is a sales document. Your resume is a sales document. It is an advertisement for you. So it needs to look like an advertisement for you. It needs to promote you. This is my key resume lesson. If your resume is really boring, it's really bland, it's a huge amount of black words on white paper, and it looks dry, it is not selling you. You need to make your resume come alive by making it easy to read within those things we've learned about previously. So, does your resume actually sell you? Are you proud of your resume? That would be my question to you. And I'm not talking about the jobs you've had, but are you proud of the layout of your resume? Do you look at your resume and think, hey, I'm actually proud of how that looks? Because if you're not, then you need to start working on it. So, I want to give you one example today around selling your experience. How do we actually sell our experience? When I say you need to sell yourselves, what do I mean? So, I'm going to give you a really good before and after. So, this is the before of a candidate I met with a number of years ago. She was, as she put on her job there, and I've removed the company details, she was a sales representative for a well-known brand. And she'd been in that role for 3 years. And she described her job as she sold goods and traveled to meet customers and to keep them happy. Now, it's not a great resume. It's not a great description. One of the main reasons she actually got through to interview stage is because she had worked in sales for 3 years. And as any of you have worked in sales will know, 3 years is actually a good tenure. That is a good tenure for somebody to work in sales for 3 years. So she got through to the interview stage based on the fact that she'd had a really good tenure. When I then sat down and met with her and I actually listened to what she did and she went into details, I was blown away. So I spent some time with her and this is how we changed her resume. So this is the after. So what you will notice here is, first of all, we're applying the rules from that previous article. We've got bold headings. We've got bulleted responsibilities. We've got achievements. We've got headings. It's easy to read. Now, I want to start off with the responsibilities. I've probably got 8 or 9 here. I did this 5 years ago. I would recommend probably more around 6 or 7 at the moment, not as many as I've got here. But as you can see, they're easy to read. The other thing I really would encourage you to do is use figures wherever you can. So if you look at the third dot point under primary responsibilities, this lady was attending at least 3 new business appointments per day. Now, that really helps me to quantify that. I know she did 3 a day, so she's probably doing 15 a week. She's doing 60 a month. She's doing 700 a year. Whereas if you just put on your resume, responsible for attending new business appointments, I don't know if that's 1 a month, 1 a day, 1 a year, 500 a year. Putting dollars and figures on there really helps me to read it. The top dot point, she maintained a regular contact with a large portfolio of business clients. But it's the achievements that stand out to me. So here she was Salesperson of the Year in 2014, exceeding her sales budget by 21%. And she mentioned some other great achievements too. Now, she was in a fairly large sales team here. She was in such a large sales team that for being Salesperson of the Year in 2014, she won a brand new car. She was that good at selling, her company gave her a car. She is the only person that I've met in my 15 years of recruitment that has been given a car as a prize for doing such a good job. That is how well she did at selling. So let's have a look at her previous resume though. She doesn't even have any achievements. She's not Salesperson of the Year. Here, she is Salesperson of the Year. Now, one thing that it is really important for you to realize that as job seekers, and most people won't tell you this, I actually have a pretty good idea of what you've done in your last job. Most recruiters do, whether you've worked in sales, customer service, administration, finance, mechanical engineering, your responsibilities that you have on your resume, I kind of have a pretty good idea on what they're going to say. It's your achievements that make you stand out, because it's your achievements that tell me how well you did it. And I'm actually most interested in how well you did your last job. I will see 50 resumes this week from people that work in McDonald's and KFC. But some of those resumes will highlight achievements, and they might only be small things, but it's the way you go about listing them, showing pride in your work, that really stands out. So make sure you sell your experience by having achievements on your resume, whether it comes to work, whether it comes to study, put your achievements on there. So today's summary for resume: sell your skills, experience, and sell your achievements. Make your resume easy to read. It's okay to be bold. In our workshop next week, if you come along, I'll show you some amazing tools that you can use to make your resume visually appealing and graphically designed. And it must be tailored for every job. This is a really important point. If you're sending out the same resume for every job, you're making a huge mistake. Because every job is different. Even if you are looking for customer service work and every job you apply for is called customer service, every job is still at least 10% different. So your resume should be at least 10% different for every job. You don't need to change the whole thing. But if you can only put 6 responsibilities and 3 achievements on your resume, make sure you're choosing the 6 responsibilities and 6 achievements that are most relevant to the job you're applying for. Otherwise, you're not doing yourself justice. Alrighty. If you have any questions as we're going along today, as I mentioned, please type them in to the comments box. We would love to hear your questions, whether they're on resumes, whether they're on cover letters, whether they're on something that we might not even be talking about today. You are welcome to ask me any question. We're coming to you live, and we will answer your questions as we are going. Alrighty, cover letters. Question, and I want you to type your answers in. Are you submitting a cover letter with every job application? When you're online applying for work, and I know that you might be applying for lots of jobs, you might be sending out 10 resumes every single day, you might be sending out 50 resumes every single day. Are you submitting a cover letter with every job? So the first person that's written in has said no. Some people have said maybe. Some people have said yes. So I've got a mix of answers here. Let me tell you something. Some recruiters read cover letters before they read the resume. Now, if you are applying to a recruiter that you know reads the cover letter before the resume, would you actually submit a cover letter? Of course you would. Of course you would. You'd be crazy. You would be absolutely crazy to submit a cover letter to a job, to a recruiter that you know is going to read it if you know it in advance. However, the problem is you don't know. You don't know who you're applying to, do you? You don't know whether they're going to read the cover letter or not. So if you're choosing not to submit a cover letter, you are taking a huge risk. In my opinion, you are making a big mistake. You can only do 2 things as a candidate. You can only submit 2 things. One is a resume, the other is a cover letter. Why would you skip on one of these 2 things? So you will hear recruiters say, I don't read the cover letter. If that's the person you're applying to, great. You don't have to send a cover letter. But unless somebody has specifically said to you, do not send a cover letter for this job, then not doing it is a massive risk, and I think is a huge mistake. Okay, so that being in mind, let me share with you a template that I've created to make cover letter writing easy. Because again, one of the reasons people don't like submitting cover letters is, a cover letter, so much hard work writing a cover letter. Now I've got to start from scratch every time. So let me share with you my formula for how to write a great cover letter, because we need to use different language. Remember, it's a letter. We're writing it to somebody. Even if we don't know their name, even if there is no name, our cover letter is going to somebody. So it's different language. We personalize it. We need to research the company and the position thoroughly. Now, we need to do this before we apply for the job anyway, but we actually want to include in our cover letter here what we've learnt. 1 page long. 1 page long. Only ever 1 page long, unless you've been asked to address a selection criteria that is quite long. If they've said in the advertisement, please address this selection criteria, and there's 10 questions there, and it takes you 3 pages, that's fine. If there's not, only ever 1 page long, and we need to proofread it multiple times. The biggest mistake that most people make is they run spell check over their cover letter, but that doesn't necessarily always pick up those grammatical errors. So stop submitting the same cover letter for every vacancy. All right, so how do we do it? I'm going to quickly show you the coach's resume template, cover letter template. And again, next week as well, we are running a workshop just on cover letters. Just on cover letters. Okay, so a good cover letter looks like this. 4 simple paragraphs. I'm going to make it so easy for you. Paragraph 1, specifically address the role in the company that you're applying to. 2 sentences should be enough. That's it. So if you're applying for a job with me, it'll be, Dear James, please find attached my resume for the sales position at Smart Recruitment. That's it. Now, if you are actually doing this, putting in my name, job name, company name, straight away, you're probably into the top 20% of cover letters. Straight away. Because most people write Dear Sir or Madam. Now, Dear Sir or Madam is okay if there's no contact name on the advertisement. But with me, I always put my name on the advertisement. So if I get a cover letter and it says Dear Sir or Madam, I think, you haven't read the ad very well. You haven't taken the time to adjust your cover letter. Whereas if someone says Dear James, I'm like, tick. At least you've put the name in. All right, paragraph 2. This is where we start to get into doing the work. Mention 2 or 3 things you know about that organization or the vacancy. The purpose of this paragraph for you is to show off. You want to show off that you've done some research. You want to mention what you know about the company or you know about the job. And ideally, if we can go to the deeper level, we want to find some information that's not just on the front page of the website. Maybe something in the news, maybe flick through the annual report. But let's mention some things that we know about the company or the vacancy. And paragraph 3, let's mention now, we're going to change from what we know about the company to a couple of skills about us. Again, 2 or 3 maximum. So mention your skills and experience that are relevant to the advertisement or the position. 2, maybe 3. So this is why we always have to tailor our cover letter for these 2 paragraphs. There's no point in mentioning what one of your skills is if it is not being asked for in the advertisement. So if you are a great public speaker and you're applying for an accounting job that has no public speaking, there's really no point in mentioning that. You're just wasting space there. You want to focus on 2 or 3 skills that are most relevant to the advertised position. And then paragraph 4, it's a brief conclusion. Thanks for reading my cover letter. I look forward to hearing back from you. So as you can see, paragraph 1 and paragraph 4, very straightforward. 1 minute on each, really. 1 minute on each. Paragraph 2 and 3, it's where we do the work. But when we break it down into this formula, pretty straightforward. Take a screenshot of that. I'll give you a moment. And now I'm going to show you one I've prepared earlier. Okay, so Dear Rupert. So this is using the formula. Dear Rupert, I'm writing to you as an enthusiastic applicant for the marketing coordinator with Duke Industries. So there we go, paragraph 1. Name, job title, company title. All right, paragraph 2. Let's show what we know about Duke Industries. I've long followed Duke Industries and was impressed to see them win an award at last month's National Marketing Awards. To be recognized for digital innovation is a great achievement. As a passionate marketing graduate, I've studied Duke Industries' graduate marketing program and am impressed with commitment to both technical and holistic learning. So that makes it sound like I know a lot, doesn't it? I know a lot about Duke Industries, but really, I know they won an award and they've got a marketing program. So again, that's the research we need to do, and we turn it into words on a cover letter to try to impress the person that's reading, to show them how much research we've done. And then paragraph 3, we're going to focus on ourselves relevant to the job. We know the job is a marketing coordinator. So whilst completing my master's in marketing last year, I was given the opportunity to work as an intern in the marketing department at Rosenberg and Associates. This 12-month placement included 4 rotations. However, it was digital marketing which I enjoyed the most. I worked with several top-tier clients and gained great exposure. I was awarded Intern of the Year from a pool of 20. So we are talking about our skills relevant to the job. And we've customized and been quite specific. And then paragraph 4, it's a simple sign-off. As I said, I look forward to hearing back from you regarding my application. I'll be able to make myself available at short notice. So paragraph 1 and 4, easy peasy. Paragraph 2 and 3, research into the job and company, and then relating our top skills to the job. I think you can do this. And as I mentioned earlier today, this is one of the reasons why you should only be applying for 2 jobs per day, because you need to put effort into customizing each application. Alrighty, so here's another cover letter. Well, here's the same cover letter, same writing, same words. As you'll see from Dear Rupert down, it's all the same. But I've used a different template here. I've used a template which I've included a headshot on, and I've included a profile paragraph there. I've also included my name, my title, and some contact details. This is, again, a more graphically designed cover letter. I'm not here to tell you which cover letter is better than the other. It's your own personal brand. You need to choose the layout. All right, we've come so far, so let's talk about it. What have we gone through so far today? We've talked about the importance of attitude and mindset. We've talked about the planning we need to do before we start applying for jobs. We've talked about how we can highlight our achievements on our resume. We've prepared our cover letter and we've sent it off. Now what? What are you doing? What happens after we send off our application? Are you doing anything at all? Or are you just waiting to hear back? Well, my advice to you is you need to pick up the phone and call. Pick up the phone, follow up your application with a phone call. And I know what you're thinking. Are you mad, James? Picking up the phone and following up my application with a phone call sounds dreadful. I'm scared. I'm intimidated. It's nerve-wracking. I don't know what to say. Why would I do it? Well, I'm not mad, and you need to be brave, because I think if you can prepare to make a great phone call, I'm going to show you how to now, you can really stand out from a crowded list of candidates. Now, I know that you're probably thinking, James, there's no contact details on most ads. There are 100 reasons that you can put in front of me to make this difficult. And that's fine. I agree. A lot of the time it is difficult. But if you can get the recruiter on the phone, you can really stand out. So let's talk about the things you would need to do. How can we actually effectively call a recruiter about a job? Because we want to be effective here. If we call up and we're not prepared, we actually harm our chances. We go backwards. So first of all, we need to know the name of the person we are wanting to speak to. So if you call up, don't just call up reception and say, I'd like to speak to the person advertising the accounting job, because you might be calling a recruitment agency which has 50 accounting jobs. So who are we wanting to speak to? Secondly, we want to have everything printed out in front of us. The advertisement, our resume, our cover letter, our elevator pitch, have it printed out in front of us. Because again, if we get really, really nervous, we want to be able to just drop our eyes and look down. And we've got the information at our fingertips. We have done our research, as we know, with our cover letter in particular, and we've got our notes in front of us. And we need to be clear with the recruiter about which role we're speaking about. Now, the key one here, we want to have 2 or 3 questions written down. So we're calling up with a purpose. The purpose is we're going to ask 2 or 3 questions. We'll write down 5 or 6, though, just in case when we get on the phone, we have a chat and some of the questions get answered before we can ask them. Those questions, though, we want to have really prepared well, because we want to use these questions to show off. We want to use these questions to stand out. So we want to use some questions that help to show we've done research. We're a candidate who puts in a lot of effort into our application. Now, keep the call brief. You might get a recruiter and they literally have 2 minutes between interviews. At the same time, it might flow into a full 20-minute phone interview. Don't read too much into either, but be prepared. The call might be kept going. And if you're not feeling confident, then practice with a friend. But I think if you can write down some good questions and you can call up and say, I've applied for the job, but I've got 2 or 3 questions, most of the time, the recruiter will say, sure, what are your questions? And if your questions are good, there's every chance that by the end of that phone call, you've impressed the recruiter enough to be booked straight in for an interview. Because by doing this well, you are leapfrogging 95% of other candidates. All right, why do I keep on banging on about research? Coach, you keep on telling me I need to do research. I need to research the company. I need to research the job. I need to do it for my resume. I need to do it for my cover letter. I need to research before I do a phone call. Why do I have to do so much research for every single job? Why, Coach? Well, I want to share a quote with you. And this quote is coming from Stefan Wheelak, who is a well-known Melbourne recruiter at a software company called Explore. And Stefan popped up the following LinkedIn post on LinkedIn. Sorry, I'm just trying a bit of trouble showing my screen here. On LinkedIn earlier in the year. So I'm going to read this quote out to you. Stefan wrote, "Credentials on your resume will get you that first interview, but it's not the key to your next position. Looking at the people we recently hired or who will be joining us shortly, there is one thing that they all had in common. They were uber prepared. They have dug deep into what we do and stand for. They impressed us with their understanding of our business and the problems we are trying to solve. Yet, not all of them were exactly what we were looking for." On the opposite side, I interviewed a candidate the other day who looked great on paper, but when I spoke with her, she said she had no idea what we were doing and said she'd only research a company once she lands an on-site interview. Well, it's a Zoom interview these days. Though if you haven't spent any time researching our company, you are missing the mark. Here's the key paragraph. I understand doing research takes effort and you don't even know if it will pay off. However, that's exactly what other applicants do to get the job. And they're the ones you compete with right from the beginning of your application. So if you don't want to do the research, that's fine. But you are competing with candidates that do a lot of research. And if you want to beat those candidates, you need to do the same level of research as them, if not more. So where do we go for this research? It's pretty easy. We go to the website, we go to the careers page, we Google the organization. If you want bonus points, find recent news on the organization. Find something. I absolutely love it when a candidate asks me a question and I don't know the answer. I don't know what the answer is because you know what that means? They've done more research than me. They've done more research recently than me. So I love it when a candidate asks me a question about the job or the company that I can't answer. I am impressed. We need to research the position. So we need to understand the advertisement. And if we're coming in for an interview, we need to understand the position description and we need to have read it. But again, for bonus points, we want to understand where the position fits into the structure of the organization and how it adds value. How does this position add value? What do you understand about where it fits in? Show that you've done your research. All right, let's move on to interviews now. I know we're going at a pretty quick pace today, but this is what we do with our masterclass. We want to touch on everything today. But next week, again, we start our long sessions. So resumes and cover letters next week. The following week, we're doing a workshop on LinkedIn profile. We also have a 2-part series on interviewing techniques. Some of you might have been to those workshops this month. We're running them again next month. So today, we're not going to go through all of our interview prep material, but we're going to look at a couple of key things. So first of all, how do you present yourself at interview from our favorite list of emojis? You know what I'd like you to do? I'd love you to type your response in. From the list of emojis you can see on your screen there, how would you describe that you present yourself at interview? Are we happy? Are we sad? Are we confident? Are we smiling? Are we a little bit nervous? Are we too nervous? Are we feeling anxious? Are we scared? Most people, it's a combination of happy, excited, and a little bit scared as well. So what we actually want to be, though, at job interview is we want to present the very best version of ourselves. We don't need to be presenting the best version of ourselves for the whole day, the whole week, the whole month, the whole year. But when we're in the interview, when we're in the room, we need to show them us at our best. So practice makes perfect. This is the biggest mistake that job seekers makes when it comes to interviews. They read lots of interview questions, but they don't practice answering them. Get a friend, a family member to ask you questions and you answer them. We need to mentally prepare for what's going to happen. We need to tell ourselves, I'm going to get nervous. I'm going to get nervous. I'm going to get sweaty palms. But you know what? That's okay. We need to give ourselves plenty of time. The one thing that brings even the most well-prepared, most confident interviewer unstuck is arriving late or just on time. All right, so let's get stuck into the actual nitty gritty. So, preparation the day before the interview. What do we need to actually do the day before the interview? The day before the interview. We need to check and confirm our travel arrangements. How are we actually going to get there? We need to make sure our clothes are cleaned and ironed and our shoes are polished. Everything we need to take along is printed out. Assessments have been completed. So, with those things, clothes ready, documents printed, we do them the day before because if we wake up in the morning and we pull out the shirt we want to wear and we find out it doesn't fit, it's got a stain, or the iron's broken, we're going to start panicking. Likewise, if we want to print out some information we need to take along and we get up in the morning and the printer's run out of ink, we're going to start panicking and our anxiety levels are going to go up. So let's get it all done the night before so that we actually can get it done. But it also just allows you as well the night before to hop into bed and not lie there and think, oh, all these things I've got to do. All these things. So we need to get these things done the day before. Everything done in advance as much as we can. All right, morning of the interview. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm's gone off. You've sat up straight in bed. You've probably not had a great night's sleep. But it's really important that we have a full breakfast. I do my interviewing in the morning, and if candidates skip breakfast, they often have bad breath. And it is really hard to interview someone for 45 minutes when they've got bad breath and still think they're good for the job. I can't do it. Breakfast will also give you good blood sugar levels. So we want to shower, shave. We're fresh and clean, not too strong with the odors. We want to give ourselves plenty of time. And we want to take along things just in case. So, particularly in Melbourne, 4 seasons in one day. Take an umbrella, take a tissues, take some mints. Get to the location of the interview with plenty of time. So get there really early, but don't announce yourself at reception. Don't turn up to reception 40 minutes before an interview because that kind of shows poor judgment. Maybe get to the building 40 minutes beforehand and walk around the block a couple of times. Arrive at reception 5 to 10 minutes before. And then taking along to interview, you actually need to take quite a few things. I would really encourage you to go out and buy a compendium. So I've got a photo of a compendium on the screen there. You can get one from Officeworks or your local news agency for $20 or $30. I take a compendium to all of my business meetings. I also take a compendium with me to any interview. It looks professional, but it also has a really functional purpose because you need to take with you everything I've got on the screen there. Take with you a copy of your resume. Take a copy of your cover letter. Take a copy of your elevator pitch and your questions, 5 or 6 questions written down that you're going to ask during the interview. Have all that in there. There's nothing wrong with referring to your notes in the interview. Nothing wrong with having a copy of your resume with you that you can refer to. Or maybe someone joins the interview halfway through, they don't have a copy of your resume, you can hand them one. So anything else you've been asked to bring along, take it in a compendium, look like you mean business, look prepared, look confident. That's the impression that you'll give. All right, video interview preparation, because at the moment, certainly in many cities in Australia, video interviewing is what is occurring. So I'm actually going to share with you now a short video that I've prepared on how you can make sure that you're ready for video interview. Hi job seekers, James here from The Candidate Coach. One of the most common questions we've been receiving lately is around how to best prepare for a video interview. Due to the circumstances over the last 12 to 18 months, video interviews have become the most common way of meeting a candidate, replacing the in-person, face-to-face interview. So here are my top tips for what you need to do to make sure you are best prepared and presenting yourself as well as you possibly can when your interview is over video. So there's 4 main things that you really need to consider. The first thing is camera height. This is the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, is getting the height of their camera wrong. If you've got a laptop, for example, that is sitting on a desk, you need to lift it up. The camera should always be at eye height. You want to imagine the lens of a camera is the eyeball of a person. So if you are looking down at your laptop or your phone, it's going to look back up your nose. So keep the camera positioned at eye height. One of the great ways to do that is to buy a tripod, something like this. So if you don't have a tripod, it's well worth going out and spending the money. Here's another one that I've got here. This one in particular I find to be really, really good. These have both got lights which help, but this one here, you can adjust it to a full standing height if you like. and it's available for not much money from a retail store. The second thing that is really important is the lighting. So having the light shining on your face. You don't want to have light shining from behind you because that creates a lot of glare. So have the light shining on your face, sit with a window facing you so that you are looking nice and clear on camera. The third thing is audio. You need to be in a nice quiet space so your voice comes across clearly, so that you don't have to yell, so that the sound is not distorted. If you are using a laptop, make sure you check about the sound direction. Some microphones only record from directly in front, and if you tilt your head sideways, the audio quality can go down quite significantly. And the fourth thing is, remember to show some personality with video interviewing. A lot of people speak to a camera in a different way that they speak to a person. So again, look at the lens of the camera and imagine you're speaking to a person. Smile, talk with your hands if that's what you do, but don't look around the room. If you're nervous, don't look down at your hands. Look at the camera and give an answer as if you were giving it to a person. This can be challenging, particularly if you are being asked to record answers and there's not actually a person that you are speaking to, but personality definitely comes through on video, so make sure you show yours. And with everything, practice. If you're not sure how you're going to present, or you think, I don't think this is going to work really well, set up your camera, hit record, and just speak to the camera. Talk, see how you look, and practice several times. This is going to be the new norm, or not the new norm, it is the norm for quite some time now, so it's really important that you understand how to best prepare for video interviewing. Good luck. Alrighty, so hopefully you got some good tips there around making sure that you perform well at video interview. Alrighty, let's talk about after the interview. So it doesn't matter whether it's been a face-to-face or a Zoom type video interview, there are certain things that we can do after the interview to continue to put our best foot forward. Those things are quite simple. Email the recruiter to thank them for their time. Having worked with recruiters for 15 years, I can tell you, if you send a thank you email, it is always well received. And if you send a thank you email, it actually will increase your chances of getting the job because it's showing good manners and it is showing politeness. It is showing politeness. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about communication. So I mentioned that some of the things at the start, I mentioned some of the things you can do to increase or decrease your chances of doing the job or getting the job have nothing at all to do with your skills, your experience. As recruiters, we are relying on you to communicate well with us. And if you don't communicate well with us, it makes it really hard to do our job. So positive communication can really increase your chances of getting the job. What do we mean by positive communication? Well, answering the phone in a positive and professional manner. If you are looking for work, expect that somebody calling you is going to be calling you about a job opportunity. Make sure you have an active voicemail. Make sure I can leave a voicemail. Make sure your voicemail box is empty. If I call you and I can't leave a voicemail, I can't get on to you. Show interest in the person that you're meeting. Ask them about themselves. Why do you like working here? Whenever anybody meets with me and they mention they've read some of my blogs, I like that. I can't help but like that. It helps to build rapport. Ask for honest feedback. Ask for honest feedback at the end of the interview. There's no reason why you can't just say, hey, is there any chance you can give me some feedback on how I performed today? It shows that you care. It shows you're interested in the job, shows you're open to learning and development, and it shows that you want to improve. And have a thankful attitude. At the end of every interaction, say, thank you for speaking with me today. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I look forward to hearing on next steps. When a recruiter is meeting with you, they're often thinking, do I want to work with this person? They're not just interviewing you for a job, they're interviewing you to work with you. They might be thinking, this person sits next to me for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, 48 weeks of the year, for the next 3 or 4 years. Do I want to sit next to you? Are you nice and friendly? And did we get along? Were you polite? Doing these types of things certainly helps. All right, what do we want to avoid? We want to if we are difficult to be reached, we're not going to get a job. It's really silly. You might think it's funny that I have to say this. Why would people be difficult to be reached when they're looking for work? But a lot of people are. Don't be slow to follow up. So if the recruiter or the manager said, can you please send me through your reference details, or can you send me through a copy of that work you mentioned, or can you send me through those test results, do it straight away. The longer you are taking to get that back, imagine it going like this. This is your chances decreasing. The quicker you get it done, the better. Don't be vague or inconsistent with information. Make sure you know the dates on your resume, the job titles, the places, the people's names. Give confident answers. And avoid speaking negatively. This is a really tough one for some people. You might have left your last job because it was a horrible situation. Your boss might have treated you really inappropriately, and then you might have had to live through some horrendous things. When you leave the interview, though, you don't want the recruiter to remember you as the candidate who had a really horrible last job. You want them to remember you as the candidate who's got great skills and experience, would bring a lot to our team. Again, we come back to that question, how do you want to be remembered? All right, let's talk about how we negotiate a higher salary offer. This is an interesting one. It's very interesting because people don't like talking about money. I've met some of the most confident, high-powered, impressive salespeople in my career, but when it comes to talking about their own salary, I'm a bit embarrassed. I'm a bit uncomfortable about that. Very common for people to feel uncomfortable when asked to talk about their salary. So what do we actually mean? Show me the money. Jerry Maguire, that's what we're asking for. We want a higher salary. Let's use an example today. You're going for an administration job and you have been offered $55,000. $55,000 is the offer. We really want 60. We really want 60,000. So we actually want to go back and hopefully get more money. Now, we need to do some steps first. So first of all, we need to do some research. Find out, is this actually a negotiable salary? If you're applying for a job, let's say at a government organization, it might not be a negotiable salary. It might be a set salary. If you're applying for a job, let's say in a call center, and they have 100 people working on that salary, it's not a negotiable salary. If you try to negotiate a salary that is fixed, it is going to reflect on you poorly. So we actually need to work out, and sometimes the answer is not going to be clear cut here, but is it actually a negotiable salary? And what is the market rate for the position? If they've offered me $55,000 and I want 60, that's great. But what is the market position? What is the market rate? Jump onto the job boards. Have a look at the advertisements on Seeker and Indeed. What are other similar positions paying? Again, if we're going to ask for $60,000, we need to make sure that we can back it up. And so that's what we want to do. We want to build a case. So we can't just say thanks for 50, but I want more. I want 60. So thanks for 55. I want 60. We've got to build a case to show why. So we're going to go to them and say, hey, thank you very much. And we need to be polite here. Thank you for offering me the job. I'm very interested in the job. Position sounds challenging. However, I'm really seeking $60,000. And the reason I'm seeking $60,000 is this. So first of all, we might say other similar positions are $60,000. But then we want to build a case around our skills and experience. You've mentioned in your advertisement you're looking for 2 years of experience. I've got 4. I've also got more qualifications. So we need to tell them why. We can't just say, give me more money. We need to build a case and show the reasoning. So we need to demonstrate, I'm actually above the offer that you've made. And we negotiate in a firm and friendly manner. You need to understand if you go into salary negotiations that an offer could be retracted or withdrawn. In my recruitment career, when somebody has wanted to negotiate salary, employers generally handle it in 2 ways. Some employers say, great, more than happy. I'm happy to negotiate this salary. I like it when a candidate tries to negotiate. Let's negotiate. Other companies say, they want to negotiate? Well, no, we've offered them a really good job at a fair price. They clearly don't want to work for us. We will withdraw the offer. The hard thing is you don't know who you're getting. So you do need to be prepared that if you go into negotiations, that can happen, particularly if you're not being reasonable. So firm, friendly, and polite, and in a thankful way. I know it sounds silly, but let's negotiate a salary offer in a thankful way because we are thankful we've been offered the job. Alrighty. Our next workshop is on next week, Tuesday the 2nd of November. Actually, I need to double check that. I've got a feeling it might not be till the 3rd. It'll be up soon on our website. Tuesday, I'm just going to do something in the background while we're speaking here to make sure that I'm telling you the right date there. But we are running 2 workshops next week. We are running Create an Amazing Resume. So if you are not sure, particularly based on a little bit of our feedback today, if you are not sure whether your resume is amazing or not, come and join our workshop next week. Where we will be showing you how to create an amazing resume. The time there is actually wrong. It is actually Wednesday at 11 a.m. Wednesday at 11 a.m. So wherever you're watching today's workshop, come back at Wednesday at 11 a.m. and join us. All right, if you're still wanting more assistance, just a reminder of all the tools that are available to you on our candidate coaching platform. Video coaching episodes, resume and cover letter templates, interview questions, online tests that you can take to see how well prepared you are for your next job, downloadable checklists, articles to read, advice for executive job seekers, mental health support, plus a whole lot more live upcoming workshops, all available for you for free. All available for you for free on our candidate coaching platform. Before you go, I've got one more thing to show you after this. I'd love, and I'm going to drop this links into the comment box. I would love for you to complete our feedback survey. The survey literally only takes 2 minutes, and it really helps us to get a great understanding of what you thought of today's workshop, what you've learned from today's workshop, but it also helps for me to get an understanding of what else would you like to know more about. So what other workshops can we offer for you in the future? So please go and take a couple of minutes just to complete that before you leave for today. But we finish every workshop with this video. This is a really important video. It is a video that I would really encourage you to watch because it talks about the importance of looking after your mental health when looking for work. This is the final part of our workshop today. Thank you for joining me. Hope you've learned something from today. Please complete the survey, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
If you're not feeling terrific at the moment and you feel like your mental well-being has taken a little bit of a dip, please remember this is not going to last forever. There's lots you can do to manage your mental health and get back on top of it. I am Dr. Sarah Barker. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've worked in workplace mental health with Black Dog Institute for the past 7 years. A lot of adults and young people, mainly with anxiety, depression, trauma as well, a range of issues, and many who are looking for work and undergoing that process of trying to find employment. Looking for work causes mental strain because our identity is tied up with our work. Work gives us meaning, it gives us purpose, it gives us company and connection. So it's stressful for lots of reasons looking for work, and it can take a toll on our mental health. It's really important for us to be aware of the signs that our well-being and our mental health might be dropping. Probably the biggest sign is changes in behaviour. So that might be changes in the way we're thinking or talking to ourselves. We might be saying things like, who would employ me? I'll never get a job. We might be really down on ourselves and really hard and critical on ourselves when normally we're not so hard and critical. We might also, in our relationships, change our behaviour. We might be more snappy or more irritable with people that we love. That normally we might be a little bit irritable sometimes, but not irritable in that way. Losing interest in things that usually sparked us and ignited us and gave us joy. So perhaps usually we like walking the dog and suddenly we start thinking, I can't be bothered walking the dog today. That sort of thing, those changes in behaviour are really significant because they tell us that something's different, and if we're noticing I suppose, more than one of those, and it's affecting the way we feel, and this is over a period of say 2 weeks or longer, then it's a really good idea to have a chat to a GP that you trust, and find out what might be going on, have a discussion and see if there's any physical reasons for that, or if perhaps your mental health and wellbeing might be able to do with a little bit of extra support, and then the GP can refer you on to see a psychologist, a counsellor, whoever is most appropriate for you. There are so many great things you can do to look after your mental health when you're looking for work, and it's really important that you do. My very top tip would be really talking kindly to yourself and being compassionate with yourself. I think when we're looking for work, we can have a lot more questions like, will I ever get a job? Will I ever be employed? It can feel like this could go on forever. So being kind to ourselves and saying things like, it will work out. There will be a day, my efforts will be rewarded. It will just take time. I just need to keep trying. Reminding yourself of your strengths. And that might even be tapping into people you love and asking them what your strengths are, because sometimes it's harder to find them when our mood's a bit low and we're feeling more worried. We can be harder on ourselves. I think that routine is really, really important to our well-being. When we're looking for work, we mightn't have such a regular routine because there mightn't be a 9 to 5 start and finish time for a job, or there isn't. So instead, thinking about looking for work as a job in itself can be helpful. Having a start time and a finish time can be really helpful, and some set tasks that you hope to achieve that day. Purpose is really important too. So purpose might come through routine, but it can also come through other things. Meaning's really important, and our work gives us meaning. So when we're looking for work, meaning mightn't feel like it's there as much. Part of what we can do is infuse those tasks with meaning. So I am doing these things today, I'm looking for work, and that is meaningful in itself, because there's an end goal to this. It will be something that's good for me and good for the people that I love as well. Some excellent resources for looking after well-being when looking for work are the Headgear app. The Headgear app is free, it's evidence-based, it's developed by Black Dog Institute, and it is fun to use. It uses mindfulness, so a technique to really help us relax and reduce physiological arousal, which can often occur when we're feeling anxious. It's got a 30-day challenge, which is just short, bite-sized little challenges to extend your well-being and grow your well-being, and that can be really extra important when we're looking for work. There are also some really terrific resources available through the Black Dog Institute. One of them is a beautiful self-care plan that encourages you to think about your top coping tips, the things that personally work best for you, that are positive coping strategies. Another really good resource is through Beyond Blue, and they've got some excellent resources to look after mental health while looking for work, and also when people are recently out of work as well. Probably time to seek professional assistance when you notice your mood is lower and you're feeling more down than usual, when you're worrying more and perhaps worrying excessively about things that you wouldn't normally worry about, and perhaps in your relationships too, when you're more tense with people and perhaps more snappy or irritable. All of these are signs that perhaps our mood is not in the greatest space, and our well-being is not in the greatest space, and that it can be a great idea then to chat to your GP, who can then refer you to an appropriate person to help you strengthen your well-being. It's very common for people to have a dip, but please know that that's not going to last forever, and that there's lots you can do through looking after yourself, but also through getting access to professional support that can really give you a boost again and get you back feeling good as you're looking for work.